So this afternoon, after watching the arrival, or rather lack of arrival, of the Hawaiian tsunami from the Chilean earthquake earlier today, we decided to go for a late lunch to a restaurant on the wharf over the water here in town. It was spur of the moment sort of thing. We arrived and we noticed a lot of activity about the dredge. Santa Barbara Harbor needs a dredge because during the winter storms, the sand migrates south down the coast and it will block that channel that the ships use to get in and out of the harbor. So the dredge has been going on for a while now. We've been noticing it out. Trucks, backhoes, moving the sand around. Today we noticed that there was more than usual activity there. 2 backhoes, 3 dump trucks, and the pipe from the dredge onto the beach was almost entirely out of water. We knew it was a low tide, but we were kind of surprised that we could see that much. There was also a little powerboat zipping around. We couldn't figure out what that was doing, but I realized later that it was probably because it was checking on the piping to make sure that the odd currents weren't knocking the dredge or the piping out of place. There was 6-foot storm swells from the storm last night, and the surfers had come to the breakwater. It was impressively breaking over the breakwater. We could see it from the restaurant. And there was probably about 10 people surfing, or standing on the beach, or waving around over on the sandbar. And it was the sandbar that we noticed. These water. So we sat down looking at the water outside the restaurant, going, well, it's kind of funny. Why is it doing that? And suddenly the water started to twist. And it started to... It's hard to describe. It was weird. And the water twisted, and it kind of started flowing backwards. And you could see the water running out of the harbor, down the beach, and it kind of turned into a little gyre near the edge of the wharf. I could just barely see it from where I was sitting in the restaurant. And it kind of swirled around and sucked as it swirled, and then it hit part of the water like a wall. I guess that must have been the drop-off from the shallower inner harbor to the harbor mouth. Because the normal water, the normal waves and stuff, it was there until it hit this one part. And then the sucking water hit this part. It was like a wall and just kind of shoved against each other. It was very strange. Other people in the restaurant started to notice it as well. Cameras came out, of course. And people were asking, what is this? And then there was the reaction. Well, we're looking at the tsunami. And no, it's not the tsunami. Yes, it is. Well, what else could it be? It's the tsunami. And the swirling. And then it's sort of petered out and it stopped and everything leveled. And then 20 minutes later, we're eating. Food came by then. It started again, and you could see it trickling from the breakwater as the water started sucking out. There were 2 sailboats circling the wharf and the harbor mouth as long as we were on the wharf. And I don't think they could get into the harbor because of the sand. Not only because of the winter erosion and buildup that normally occurs during the storm season, but because the tsunami conditions changed the currents. And it could be that it built up deep enough that they couldn't sail in without getting stuck. There was harbor patrol boats, at least 3 of them, zipping around that we could see back and forth into the harbor. And they looked like they were testing sounding at least once. And these poor guys on the boats just circling the entire time. I'm not quite sure what happened after that. We left the wharf, we went home. Took the long way, it was nice out. Very pretty clouds. think there was still a tsunami advisory on. Probably remain in effect for a few more hours. But we didn't really ever have anything to worry about. It was just an interesting phenomena of swirly, sucking water that I'd never seen and probably will never see again. SacredOcelot signing off.